Hi, I'm Rebecca Pearce from Traffic Jam Galleries, and I have with me here tonight Danielle McManus, and it is Danielle and Starr's exhibition that we have tonight, A Chorus of Colour. And Danielle absolutely loves being interviewed, and so we're going to start with some really, hard, deep and meaningful ones. So here we go anyway. My favourite, and when I saw you in these works coming in, was this red dress.
Yeah.
And I said, come on, what is beside, or not beside, behind this red dress, and what's going on? Is it passion? Is it deflowerment? And you withdrew when I said that. But there has to be something there. And what is this to you? Because there is this common thread going through.
There is a common thread, and red would have to be one of my favourite colours. And I would have to say that it is one of my favourite colours because of passion. I would say it's a passionate sort of emotive.
Right.
I would say that, that being in there would be...
Because there's not just a dress, like the poppies
Yeah.
in this series
The
that are coming
poppies,
through,
yeah,
and
the
behind us,
red,
but know that
yeah.
the beautiful tall poppy
Yeah.
one that you have.
So, yeah.
So it's passion.
It's
that's coming
passion,
through.
and as I said, and being one of my favourite colours, it usually turns up in something.
Yeah.
But it would be a passionate sort of colour, I would say, and
Yeah,
that would be
that's
why
coming through.
that would be why I'm drawn to it. Yeah.
One of the changes that I've found in this exhibition is a use of another medium, where before we've been used to your pastels, charcoal and your acrylics.
Yeah.
But now the introduction of pen and ink and pencils,
Yeah.
coloured pencil. Is this something that you're going to really develop, or it's just this exhibition, or is there a reason for this adoption of a new medium?
I think it's something I'd like to develop, and it's something that I sort of went back to because my initial training was in illustration, so it was a lot of watercolour and a lot of pencil, and at first it really just came across, I was moving house and came across my little watercolour set,
Yeah.
and I thought, I must try them again, and so I just was sitting down watching telly and having a bit of a scribble and to see, how we could use them, and I like the lead pencil for the small ones especially, rather than the charcoal, because you can get that detail and you can sharpen the pencil and get quite detailed with
Yes,
it, and then after doing the small ones, I thought I would like to develop into a larger work.
That'd be
and
exciting
really,
to see, and really get that detail coming
intricate,
through.
Yeah. So and after the poppies one with all the detail in that,
Yeah.
I'm now drawn to that sort of detail. And
We have smaller ones for this exhibition, but that's something for us to look forward to if
Yes,
you do that on large
definitely.
scale. That would be very
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. So
Now, I know we've discussed this, you and I, before, Rousseau and a number of other artists, that tell me if it's great admiration, or you intentionally reference, especially I guess for me, Rousseau, with all the little hidden elements. I find with your work, I'm constantly finding new things that on first a glance, or really looking at a work, I hadn't always found everything, and there'll be this little bird or a little numbat or something that'll be peeping out that's there. Can you give us elaborate more
Sure.
on that?
Well, Henri Rousseau is definitely someone that he was probably the first artist that I noticed. I knew that this was a style I liked. I knew that I liked simplifying and a childlike look at people.
That naive
Naive sort of work.
Yeah.
And then I came across a book about naive art, and he was, of course, one of the artists in there. And I thought, well, he was an artist that was taken seriously, but looking at the world in a naive, simplistic way.
And the perspective was very different as well.
That's
the
right.
way that there was all the level and depth there, but it was a very different perspective, especially when he started on that journey.
That's right, with his, and they were sort of, and I mean, some of them are, some of his jungle ones are very detailed, and you know, so
well, they're complex, and then with the jungles, the depth with all the multitude of greens, you know, and things like that, which you know we'll never be able to replicate nature, but he was one that it was just beautiful.
It was
level that came through just in colour with, you know, of one colour.
That's right, and so many levels and it was actually, you know, even though it was called naive art, it was actually very complicated. So, so it was him that I thought, well, you know, obviously somebody else in the world liked it at some stage as well, and you know, and so that's why I sort of followed along with it, and then, I guess looking into being able to bring some of my illustration background back into it with the birds and the numbats and the, you know, that kind of element as well. I actually enjoy putting little things in that people will find later on, or I want people to buy a work and be sitting there and think, oh, I didn't notice, I mean, I've bought the work but didn't notice that, or, you know, that would be lovely. So it is something that I like to do.
Other things that we notice with your Maltese background, there'll be elements that will come through, references there or influences. Can you tell us more on that? Well,
I've been to Malta 4 times and enjoyed it every time, and I think it's the buildings and it was amazing to me when I first went there how at home I felt. Even though I was born here, my mother was born there, my father's Australian, but I just felt at home, and it really sort of resonated with me, and so I felt it really important to bring that level through into my artwork to show that yes, I'm Australian and I'm very proud to be so, but this is part of me as well, and this is another home for me. So
it's beautiful, that marriage, it had the way that you know, entwine it. Whether it be colour palette sometimes, or you know, actual sort of references of location.
Absolutely. And again with the red, when you travel through Malta in the churches and the buildings, and red does happen, you do see a lot of red there as well, so it's probably part of my heritage as well, you know, the red.
So nice, it comes through, sometimes conscious or subconscious.
That's right, it sort of comes through, and I guess then you realise why you're attracted to it, or why it's sort of, so no, it's definitely important.
I'll just give you one more. Musical instruments. We've noticed coming through in this one again. Before, 2 exhibitions back, there'd been the musical instruments, and then we hadn't seen for a while. Any reason why we're seeing these again? It's beautiful.
It is. That would again be reference to my grandfather was a musician, and so I find that I'm drawn to music, and I played a lot of instruments. I wasn't very sporty at school, surprisingly, and so music was more my thing. You know, trying different instruments. So I found that was a big thing for me, with him being very good at it and very popular there in Malta with his trumpet playing, and he was a maestro. So so through that influence, they sort of pop up every so often in paintings, and and that's my sort of link with that, is my love of music as well, and tying that in. So I was glad with the chorus of colour. That sort of woke me up to, I hadn't done it for a while.
So I guess it was a very easy link.
It was easy to link it.
Well, that was painless, wasn't it?
It was. Thank you. Well,
I'm here with Starr, who has her exhibition, Chorus of Colour, on at the moment, and shared with Danielle McManus. So welcome, Starr.
Thank you, Rebecca.
I'm now going to kill you with a whole lot of questions. So the main thing for me with your work is colour and layering. And people will look at your work and just the depth that you can create, and with all those layers. Can you just give us some ideas of what you go through, your process, and how you work through this? Because it's incredible the depth that you can create.
My colour sense is actually kind of quite organic and natural. Like, it just happens. And the layering, I mean, even just to get, say, a pink or a yellow, it's quite intense. Like, there could be so many different colours that build up to that, not just pink.
So with that, do you start with the same base colour for all your paintings, or depending on what you're doing, how do you?
Oh no, I do have a tendency, like my white series has got a lot of white to it, but even just in that, the colour, just in the greys and the taupes is even quite intense.
Now I understand you never go anywhere without a sketchbook, and you'll often sketch and photograph. Do you do plein air, or do you tend to just work that way with the sketches, photographs, and then go back to your studio?
My preference has always been sketches and photographs and then back to the studio.
Right. And with that, I
I
understand.
love the idea, and it is a luxury to me to be able to plein air. And that to me is just the ultimate, but that doesn't really happen a lot in I tend to not like the sunlight.
Okay.
So
Well, that's probably good.
It would be an uncomfortable experience, but I do love to sketch. And I love to sketch anywhere. I mean, I love, indulgence for me is to sketch in Paris, the Eiffel Tower, to sketch the Empire State Building in front of it, to sketch in Central Park, anywhere.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate.
Because I notice with a lot of those cityscapes that you do, the accuracy, like, you can pick out, say for Sydney, the AMP building or Centre Point, and even some of the smaller icons that we have, there's that accuracy there, but you don't always pick it on first viewing of your work. And then I've had people stand in front of it and go, that's the building I work in, how on earth has she managed to get that? Is that because you'll go back and
I like my work. I like my work to have integrity to the actual image.
Yeah.
So as abstracty and as modern as they are, there's still a realistic quality to it. So you can spot every building is actually there.
Yeah, I know, it's quite amazing.
But you need, in order to get that, you need your sketches plus you need the photograph as well. Yeah.
And I understand you've moved to a new studio and you now have the luxury of a drawing room, a paint room.
Oh, it's so exciting.
Has this affected your work in any way, or
Well,
have you changed?
firstly, something's happened and I'm surrounded by bush and green. And it is just so peaceful. And I have this beautiful drawing room specifically just to sketch and draw in, and it makes creating the painting so much easier. Like you can just focus in that one area, because I believe that a painting is not my paintings would not be the paintings they are if it wasn't for this drawing. Yeah, it just goes hand in hand. And having a separate painting area is great, and I've even potentially got a separate oil painting room down the track. So I'm expanding down the track as well. Yeah, but I can do the watercolour as well. I just think you need a wet and a dry room.
That's wonderful.
Wet and dry.
But are you finding that, well, how long is it that you've been there now?
I'm just under a year.
So with all this green, has any of your subject matter changed? Because we've noticed that you've introduced a very abstracted new sort of, it almost has a street level to it. So, or an urban level. So you have that, but then you're telling me that this new studio, there's this lushness and green. So is there any connection, or just a whole?
Actually, to be quite honest with you, I'm just so damn happy.
Well, that's a good thing.
And I think when I'm at my most happiest, I think it reflects in the colour.
Yes.
My colours are just bolder and more luminous than they've ever been.
But that's like one of your handwritings.
Yeah,
is the colour and layering. They just come through always.
Yeah, so I think I'm just happy. And there's a lot of pink.
There's a bit of always had that girly,
Oh yeah, I do. I'm very, very girly. Yeah, all said and done. Yeah, very girly. Yeah.
Well, we're thrilled with this body of work, and it's already, as always, selling well before the exhibition opens. But thank you again. That's wonderful. Okay.
Hello everybody, I'm Starr. Well, thank you for all coming. And I always get asked the same question about my colour. What do I do? I mean, how do I come up with all the different colour combinations? I just sit in my little studio with all my paint, and it just happens. It's just quite magical, especially when I'm working on the really bright ones. I actually was thinking the other night that I sort of go into like a trance. I can't describe it. I'm not actually planning them as they just evolve naturally, organically. I know no one should be this happy, but I actually I didn't think I could get this happy. So yeah, it's amazing what a new move to a beautiful new studio can do. I suggest everyone should move studio.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming too. You know, on such a cold evening, it's lovely to see so many people, and thanks to Rebecca and everyone for getting it all organised and hanging it beautifully. It looks lovely, so thank you. When Starr asked me to join her for an exhibition, I was really stoked. She's an artist that I really enjoy her work, and it was lovely to work with somebody like that. So thank you. Yes. And then with the name Chorus of Colour, I thought, wow, you know, it was a real inspiration for the paintings. I love working with colour myself and love the bright colours, and so I know I can see where Starr's coming from. You know, the bright colours are always fun to work with. So it was an easy show to put together. It was an easy show to think of the works because of the fun and the colour and the inspiration behind it. So I really enjoyed doing it. So that was fun, and thank you for
Now I'll hand you over to the wonderful Johnny, and he can tell you about his fabulous wines, which we are so lucky to have here. And it's even, thank you. But even before we got together, the amount of people went on our first night that already knew of your wonderful wines and what you were doing and everything. It's like they already know all about all this, and it was just great. So yes, no, we're very lucky. So thank you very much.
I promise I won't keep you long, but about 120 years ago, my great-grandfather arrived from Ireland, and being Irish, we were very good at hospitality. So he went straight into the hotel business. About 60 years ago, when my grandfather was bouncing me on his knee, he said, to my father, he said, "I think this one's going into the wine business." And that's where I ended up. So I had hotels, liquor stores, but I've ended up in the wine business. I live in Mudgee because I love it. I love the climate because of the changes. It's like walking into this gallery. The change I see with the different art and artists is fantastic. But Mudgee has 4 seasons. And the reason I mention that is that's why we have great vines, because we get the very cold winter. We get the intensely hot summer, so we get ripe fruit, we get flavour. Now, my vineyard, I do not irrigate. I'm doing it the old-fashioned way. Most vineyards in the world now irrigate, except for, say, Bordeaux and the old Italian vineyards. They are doing it the old-fashioned way. You get flavour. You've probably experienced some of that tonight. If you like my wine, please buy some. And if you like it that much, if you buy 6 bottles and give me an order tonight, you get an extra bottle for free and free delivery. If you order a case, I'll actually give you an extra 6 for free. That's about it. Back to the boss.
Oh, done.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming.